everybody. Welcome to the world of Concacaf News Desk. I'm Eric Schmitz.
I'm Jonathan Sleep.
And I'm Donald Wine.
And it is the most magical time of the year because Concacaf Nations League is back, baby.
March Madness.
The real March Madness. You know, this drives us mad. We're just so excited about all of this. Very exciting.
If the NCAA tournament was done on islands, we could talk.
Yeah. The NCAA tournament does not have the vibes that Concacaf Nations League possesses. This is a very big window. This wraps up the group stage for the 2022-23 Nations League. And most importantly, I have to lead up. This is a big window for us because we are all going to Nations League games. The three of us, we're all going to Grenada to see the U.S. Grenada game. Donald and I will also be at the U.S. El Salvador game in Orlando because we decided to go to Florida for some reason. Just before we get started on everything, what are you guys excited about right now?
Islands, rum. I mean those and then the game in Grenada, but I mean those being the big things.
I mean, we also get to go to St. Vincent, Eric and I,
yes.
Which we're very much looking forward to. Return to the scene of the crime. Like, for those of you out there, Float is literally like the inspiration for this podcast.
Yeah.
And so we will, as Jonathan said on the last one, we're going to have some high quality content coming from several areas of the Caribbean, the Caribbean Football Union. It is just going to be it's just going to be a fun time. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. High quality content, high quality rum. There's nothing else you need in life. So we're going to run down through the groups to kind of get you ready for all of this. The first thing we're going to do, besides thank you, patrons. If you're listening, you're a patron of our podcast. We love you. Before we get into what's left here in Nations League, just want to recap. There's a format change recently because CONCACAF, in the middle of their Nations League, they're just going to decide how, everything's different for the next one based on this. So no longer is there going to be relegation for this next Nations League. After this Nations League, no one's getting relegated. So League A, the third place team is going to stay up. League B, first place moves up. Fourth place stays in League B. League C, first place moves up. Everyone else stays the same. So for next Nations League, it'll occur in September, October, November, and March of 23-24. Different format. We went over that in our last podcast.
There'll be relegation in that one too, right? Like this is just a setup. The next one.
Relegation is returning for the next one, but this one there are no losers. There are only winners in this CONCACAF Nations League. So the group stage is about to wrap up. We'll have the CONCACAF Nations League finals in an unannounced location this June. Rumors are out there. I feel like everyone is very happy about these rumors. I am personally very happy about these rumors, but it's not confirmed by CONCACAF yet because
I just came from these rumors.
Yes. I have already booked a hotel in these rumors,
It's funny how that works.
But until that press release goes out, who's to say? So anyways, what we're going to do here, we'll run through the leagues. We'll start at League C and work our way up to League A and kind of go over where we're sitting for this March window of the greatest competition in global sport, the CONCACAF Nations League. I even have my CONCACAF Nations League finals hoodie on right now. I'm just so jazzed up for this. All right. So let's start with League C. As I said, first in the group gets promoted to League B for the 23-24 CONCACAF Nations League. And they also get a berth in the 2023 Gold Cup prelims, which will take place this summer somewhere, probably Miami in the U.S. Let's start off with Group A. First in Group A is Bonaire, sitting at 10 points. St. Martin, the Dutch one, sits second place with 5 points. Third place is U.S. Virgin Islands at 4 points. And fourth, already eliminated from potentially advancing and locked in for League C for the next one, Turks and Caicos Islands sitting at 3 points. I think the big game to look forward to here is Bonaire is going to host the Turks and Caicos on March 28th. And this is very notable because this is their first home match ever. They've got a brand new stadium they're opening up, Stadion Antonio Trinidad. First time that Bonaire is ever playing a game in Bonaire. So awesome for them. Jonathan, why don't you do Group B?
Yeah, so Group B. So we have Aruba in first place with 4 points, St. Kitts and Nevis on 4 points as well, and St. Martin on 2. This is actually the only group where everybody of League C that everybody is still in play. St. Kitts and Nevis has played one less game. Big game to watch is St. Kitts and Nevis versus Aruba on the 26th, which could be a decider, depending on how the St. Martin match goes. It could be a decider for who gets promoted to League A. One other thing to note is it is the first window for St. Kitts and Nevis under their new technical advisor, none other than Claude Makalele.
Nice. Donald, why don't you tell us about Group C?
Yeah, so Group C is pretty much wrapped up. St. Lucia is in first place with 6 points. They also have a game in hand on Dominica and Anguilla. Both of those teams are sitting with 2 points. They are eliminated from contention. St. Lucia has already won this group, but I think it's notable that the game that's probably the best game that's going to happen from this group is going to be when Anguilla hosts St. Lucia on March 24th. For Anguilla, they've scored a couple of goals. Their hope is to get, and they've gotten a couple of draws, some of their first points they've had in a very long time. But as we look at trying for them to move up the FIFA rankings, this will be a way to do it. But on St. Lucia's side, if you remember, they withdrew from World Cup qualifying because they just didn't have their stuff together. And now they're on the verge of qualifying and being promoted to League B. This is a very big step, and they could go through the group unbeaten. So that is their goal. And I think that's the reason why that match is the big one.
Yeah. And in Group D, first place, we got Puerto Rico sitting on 6 points. They've already clinched promotion and a spot in the 2023 Gold Cup prelims. Cayman Islands in second on 2 points, and British Virgin Islands also on 2 points in third place. Cayman Islands having the advantage in goal difference. I think the game I'm looking forward at is the British Virgin Islands hosting Puerto Rico. Obviously, Puerto Rico already through, but for the British Virgin Islands, based on what's happened with World Cup qualification format being announced, this is a huge game because British Virgin Islands needs to find a way out of the bottom 4 in Concacaf. So we've got our 4 groups. Guys, is there anything that sticks out to you as something interesting that's going on? Donald, why don't you start?
I mean, for me, I think you mentioned the first home game for Bonaire. I think that's pretty cool, right? We always love the promotion of resources in the Caribbean and just the rest of CONCACAF, but pumping that resources into new stadiums will generate new revenue for all of their programs. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that stadium turns out, and they're really excited about it as well. Shout out to all our listeners from Bonaire who and our followers who've kind of come in the last few weeks.
Yeah, Bonaire's FA is following us, so appreciate that. Jonathan, anything stick out to you?
I mean, I'm always looking at what Anguilla is going to do, just because I get a soft spot for them. Unfortunately, they are playing top of the table, St. Lucia. But, I mean, there's still hope. They've gotten 2 points so far. My hope is that maybe they can get that first one in CONCACAF.
Yeah. The one thing that I'm really looking at, and you see this a lot, especially with a lot of these smaller countries, Bonaire, we already talked about it. They're playing their first home match ever, is that some of these countries don't necessarily have sites to host these games. So there are a couple neutral site games. St. Martin is going to be playing their home match against Bonaire at Bethlehem Soccer Complex in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. And then St. Martin, the French one, is playing their home game against St. Kitts and Nevis in Anguilla. So they don't necessarily have the facilities to do it, so they kind of lose that home field advantage. A couple other things that I did notice. First of all, if you're interested and you're eligible, Dominica is looking for players. They posted on their Facebook page that they actually are looking for players. So if you were born in Dominica or you have Dominican parents, you could be eligible for their national team. So go to their Facebook page and check that out. The other thing that I found, and it's not relevant, but it's ridiculous. So I want to make sure that we bring it up on the podcast. Trying to do some research for the Cayman Islands and what's going on with their national team. I found out that Ramon Sealy, who is a former Cayman Islands national team goalkeeper, it seems like it's been since 2018 since he's been capped. Last he was known with Bodden Town FC in the Cayman Islands. Save that one for real team or fake team later. He's actually playing for the Cayman Islands national cricket team. Like now, like the dude was on the national soccer team and now he's on the national cricket team. Like they have matches this month that he's been playing in.
Athleticism.
That's like a two-sport star. How many athletes are out there that have played internationally in two sports? Absolutely ridiculous.
We can call him the Deion Sanders of Concacaf.
I mean, if you're going to play two sports in Concacaf, soccer and cricket are like the two.
Yeah, without a doubt.
All right. So that is League C. Let's move on to League B. So League B, as we talked about, format changes. First place is getting promotion to League A for the 23-24 Nations League, and they get a spot in the 2023 Gold Cup. The second place team in each of these League B groups is going to get a spot in the 2023 Gold Cup prelims in June. No one's getting relegated, but we have four team groups and there is still a bunch of stuff at stake. Donald, do you want to start off with Group A?
Yeah, so Group A, Cuba and Guadeloupe are sitting at the top of the table. They both have 9 points. Antigua and Barbuda are Bena boys. They are at 6 points, 2 wins and 2 losses. And Barbados has already been eliminated. Obviously, they're not going to drop, but they have been eliminated from contention of promotion or from the Gold Cup. They are sitting with 0 points. And I think for me, the game that's going to be the best one is when Cuba hosts Guadeloupe on March 26th. That will likely be to see who gets promoted to League A. So that's going to be a really big one.
Jonathan, you want to talk about Group B?
Yeah, so Group B, we have Haiti in first place with 10 points, Guyana in second with 6, Bermuda in third with 4, and then Montserrat at 3. Montserrat has been eliminated from, making anything else again. They're not going to be relegated, but they just cannot go. They are set in their last place spot. Match that I'm really looking at is Bermuda hosting Guyana on March 25th. They really have a chance. That could be a decider for second place there. And with Bermuda being at home and looking to get some revenge against Guyana, it should be interesting.
All right. In Group C, first off, we've got Nicaragua at 10 points. They have already been guaranteed at least a spot in the Gold Cup qualifiers, but they have not clinched the group or anything. Second place on 9 points is Trinidad and Tobago. Third place is the Bahamas at 3 points. They can still make the Gold Cup, but they can't be promoted. And fourth is our boys, Vinci Heat, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, sitting on 1 point. They've already been eliminated. They can't be promoted. They're, playing for the future. The game I'm looking at, obviously, Nicaragua on 10 points, Trinidad and Tobago on 9. On March 27th, to wrap up the group, Trinidad and Tobago will host Nicaragua in a game that might be for a lot. It really depends on the results in the first games. Nicaragua will be playing host to St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the 24th, while Trinidad will be hosting going to the Bahamas. If Nicaragua wins and Trinidad does not, Nicaragua could have the group wrapped up already, but both of them are looking to win the group and get promoted for League A for the next Nations League. Donald, you want to give us Group D?
Group D, here we go. French Guiana is in first place with 10 points. You have Guatemala in second with 7 points. Dominican Republic can't be promoted, but they can still make a Gold Cup or Gold Cup prelim spot. They are in third place with 4 points. And then Belize, they cannot make the Gold Cup. They cannot be promoted. They are sitting in last place. They don't have a win yet, and they have 1 point. But when you look at this group, the French Guiana and Guatemala play each other in Guatemala on March 27th. That could likely be for the group. And I think the key here is that French Guiana, Guatemala is that team that honestly probably should have been in League B the whole time. They technically probably should have been in League A at this point. But the reason why they're in League B is, remember, they started in League C because their whole federation was suspended for a couple of years. They couldn't participate, at least in full, in the qualifying for the Nations League when it first started. French Guiana getting to League A over Guatemala would be a huge, huge, huge boost for their prospects of just promoting themselves as a soccer nation.
And for our purposes of potentially traveling there,
Exactly.
We need it. Of course, tickets for that match against French Guiana from the Guatemalan Federation are now available on tototicket.com if you're interested. Jonathan, what sticks out to you? What do you think is one of the fun facts, fun stories, things to look at for League B here?
So one of the things, like we've recently talked about Montserrat, but for the roster of the coming windows, Lewis Dewberry is actually coming in from the 9th division in England of Fisher FC. That's way, 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 way down the pyramid, which I think is pretty cool just for somebody to be like from that far down in the pyramid to be, coming to Concacaf and playing in the Nations League.
There aren't a lot of places you can pull from the 9th division, Donald, what are you looking at?
So for me, I think it's, there's a couple of Nations League games that are at neutral sites. I think one that's interesting is that Guyana is playing their home match versus Montserrat in Barbados. I think Guyana, I have not been there, but I feel like they lucked out because they get to play in Barbados. I think the only catch here is that they're not there and St. Vincent is not at home when we're in the Caribbean, and that angers me greatly. The Nations League, CONCACAF needs to redo the schedule so that we can experience another game at Arnoldsville Stadium, or at the very least get bacon with a side of shrimp. They won't let us do either with a game, and that's disappointing.
Well, here's the interesting thing about that match. So they're playing that match against Montserrat at Wildy Turf Stadium in Barbados. Barbados also, they're going to be hosting a game there. They'll be hosting Cuba. Barbados was supposed to play a friendly back on March 8th against St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It actually got canceled at around kickoff because the generator went out and it was a night game and they couldn't get the lights working, so they had to cancel the game. So that's Wildy Turf. So I don't know if that game's actually gonna. I don't know what time the game's scheduled at. Let me check that game time out here. Barbados hosting Cuba. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff, and the Barbados game of Guyana Montserrat is also a 7 o'clock kickoff. So we'll see if those games even get played.
Hey, it's daylight savings time. Maybe they can get a half in before they actually need the lights.
Listen, if you told me it's like, hey, we're gonna try to play this in Barbados, you better go. I'll go to Barbados.
Amen.
You don't got
you'll take one for the team there.
I'll take one for the team there. But yeah, that's League B. Obviously, a lot at stake with the teams finishing in first, getting promotion to League A for the next one, and an opportunity to qualify for Copa America. If you don't finish first in this league, this Nations League, you don't even have an opportunity to play your way in. So a lot at stake there for League B. Let's take a short break. We'll come back and we'll talk about League A, the pinnacle of the Concacaf Nations League. All right, we are back. It's time to talk about League A, the most important level, theoretically, of the CONCACAF Nations League. Very important to us because that's where the United States currently resides. If we know they can't get relegated this time, so for our travel purposes, there really isn't any motivation for them not to succeed. We want them to get to the U.S. to get to the CONCACAF Nations League finals in a city unknown that we would want to go to in June. But let's talk League A. Again, what's at stake for League A? The first place team goes to the CONCACAF Nations League finals, most important tournament in world sports, and they qualify for the 2023 Gold Cup. Second place in each group qualifies for the 2023 Gold Cup, while third place has to play their way into the Gold Cup by going to the prelims. Jonathan, do you want or
yeah, I'll take us with Group A.
Yeah.
So Group A, we have Jamaica in first place with 5 points, Mexico in second with 4, and Suriname in third with 1 point. It is worth noting that Mexico has only played 2 matches, so they're going to play to this coming window. One of the ones that I'm looking at is Jamaica versus Mexico in Mexico City on March 26th. This could very well be the decider for who wins the group and who goes to the CONCACAF Nations League final.
Donald, you want to take League B, Group B?
Group B, here we go. We got Panama in first with 7 points. We have Costa Rica in second place with 3 points. And Martinique cannot qualify. They can't win the group. They still can qualify for the Gold Cup directly. They are in third place with 1 point. I think the game here to look at is got to be Costa Rica hosting Panama on March 28th. This could potentially be, since Costa Rica, like Mexico, they have 2 matches this window. They, will play Martinique on the 25th. If they win that game, it sets up a winner takes all essentially on the 28th in San Jose. That would be a really good matchup.
For sure. In Group C, first place, this might be the most interesting group of League A. Group C, first place, we've got Honduras sitting on 6 points. Second place, Canada on 3 points. And in third place, Curaçao on 3 points. Now, this is the one where all 3 teams are still in play. And these are 3 pretty solid teams with Honduras, Canada, and Curaçao. I think the game you've got to look at, Canada hosting Honduras in Toronto on March 28th. Honduras is already on 6 points. Canada hopes to get a result against Curaçao, but they'll get that result against Curaçao. Then they would still have to get some sort of result against Honduras to advance. Really interesting group, and it's nice that it's not a kind of foregone conclusion, even though Canada's got the 2 games to play. Jonathan, you want to wrap us up with Group D?
Yeah, so I'm gonna wrap us up. So in Group D, we have El Salvador in first place with 5 points, the United States in second with 4, Grenada in third with 1 point. Again, if you'll notice, all the World Cup teams have only played 2 games, so the U.S. having 2 opportunities, to overtake El Salvador. The game that I'm looking at, and selfishly, it's because the game that I'm going to be at is Grenada versus the United States on March 24th. But of course, I think that assuming that the U.S. gets that win against Grenada, away to Grenada, they're going to still have the possibility of needing not to lose against El Salvador to make the Nations League final.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll talk more about the U.S. Grenada game in a second. I do want to point out again, Jamaica, Panama, El Salvador, they've already qualified for the Gold Cup. They can't finish third in their groups. So those teams will automatically be going to this summer's tournament. Now, let's get back. Before we talk about everything else, let's focus in on USA at Grenada. Karani James Stadium, Grenada. Donald, you haven't been to Grenada, correct?
I have done a stopover in Grenada coming back from St. Vincent on our way to bacon with a side of shrimp.
Listen, we didn't get off the plane. That does not count.
I said we had a stopover. I didn't say we had a layover. I said we had a stopover. So
I guess that's fair. You're getting me out of technicality here.
You were on the plane.
That's true. That's why I didn't say none of us have been to Grenada, because if you don't get off the plane, it does not count.
We're talking about this. I will be the first one to step on Grenadan soil.
Yeah, that's true.
Considering that I get in a little bit earlier than you guys coming from Vinci.
Yeah, we kind of got hosed by I don't want to bash the airline before we get on and off the plane, because I'm sure they're a great airline. Inter-Caribbean Airlines booked our flights. They ended up changing the schedule. So Donald and I are getting to Grenada slightly later in the day than Jonathan. But we get to spend a couple days in St. Vincent and the Grenadines before. Looking forward to that a lot. I'm really excited for this game. I mean, there is nothing like Concacaf away. And the fact that Concacaf decided to, take this group stage Nations League away from us for the next couple of years, you really got to embrace it while we've got it, live in the moment. So I'm looking forward to living in the moment next week. Jonathan, is there anything that sticks out to you as like a fun point or something you're looking at for this window in League A?
I would say that the thing that I'm maybe the most curious about is we saw during in the lead up to She Believes, we saw there were some issues rightfully and a dispute with the Canadian Soccer Association. Unclear how that's going to affect Canada in Nations League. I imagine that they are being that these are meaningful matches with repercussions as far as Nations League finals. I don't expect there to be an issue, but it's just something I'm keeping an eye on. Donald, what about you?
So Curaçao has a match this window against Canada, and they're hosting Canada, and they kind of promoted the game, and they just left a little teaser with a black kit, and I think you saw it as well, Eric and Jonathan. But like, it looks fresh, and I didn't get a great look at it. So Curaçao, if you're listening, I think you need to send one so that I can get a full look at it. It's only fair that I give it the real review on the show, but to do that, I think I need to have it in my hand. So if you can at Concacaf, and we can set up the addresses and everything, and you make that happen, or you can meet Eric and I in St. Vincent, or you can meet the three of us in Grenada. There's a lot of opportunities.
Just pop over the Windward Islands.
They can always, they can send them for everyone. Actually, we got more than just a little bit of a glimpse there was a roster release that we saw a little bit and got a little bit of a view of the jersey.
Shout out Leandro Bacuna from my boys at Watford over in England on the squad.
But yeah,
I still didn't get a good look. I saw the picture and it looks great, but the pictures are great.
It's a very touchy. I'm a very tactile learner and reviewer. I need to feel
hands on.
I think Curaçao, there's a lot going on. Obviously, we had talked about Curaçao had some big name coaches recently. They had Gus Hiddink come in. They had what's his face? Wasn't Clivert? Yeah, Clivert was a coach.
Clivert.
Remco Vicentini is back as the head coach. Good for him. Curaçao, they got that game against Canada. They're also playing freaking Argentina. They're about to go play Messi in a friendly.
Not just Curaçao. CONCACAF is featuring heavily in the Argentina welcome home, because their first game is going to be against Panama And a little fun fact I saw, the AFA had 151,000 press applications for the game. Let's keep in mind the largest stadium in Argentina holds about like I think it's about a little over 80,000. So almost double the amount of people that can fit into a stadium requested press credentials for the match.
I mean, they just want to see Panama play. Like, I get it. Argentina, yeah, you won the World Cup, but you haven't played nobody yet. You got to play your Panamas. You got to play your Curaçaos.
And remember,
yourself.
Curaçao only got it because they couldn't agree with Suriname. Like, they wanted Suriname, and Suriname was like, yo, we're busy. Like, call back later. And Curaçao was like, I mean, we're busy too, but we'll play you. So, yeah, the world champs are trying to get Concacaf because I don't think they got enough of it during the World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, Panama is going to be really sad. I'm not Panama. Messi is going to be really sad that he's not going to get to see Anibal Godoy. I think is the real takeaway here.
Well, I mean, who's to say who ends up making the trip there? Couple other notes. I know Mexico, this is the first official window they'll have under new coach Diego Coca. So really interesting. They called in a big group for this game. Really interested to see how things change after, the last tenure. Obviously, Mexico coaches had some issues in the Nations League last time around, getting booted. So Diego Coca finally gets to step up. The other thing that's interesting to me is we didn't really talk about Martinique. So big thing on our podcast is like looking good. We talked about Curaçao's new kits. We don't know yet what Martinique's going to roll out with because Martinique's got a brand new flag. You might have seen like the Quebec looking one with the snakes that they had. That was kind of like the, colonial type flag that they had. They've got a brand new one. Their colors are no longer blue and white. They are red, green, and black. And oddly enough, they voted on a new flag. It was red and black with a green stripe and a bird on it. They voted on it, approved it. And as soon as they approved it, they're like, wait a minute, this bird that's on it, they pulled it off Shutterstock. We can't use this. So they had to vote on a new flag, and like the second place one ended up being approved as a new flag. It's a pretty basic. It looks like the Czech flag, but different colors. But Martinique, I haven't been able to find anything if the Federation is going to be ready with their new colors yet. So we are anticipating that because it will be a fresh look for CONCACAF, that color combo. So go ahead, Jonathan.
I would say, I dig the one with the bird. It looks like, I think, almost looks like a hummingbird. I think it looks pretty cool. But yeah, you can't be just pulling things from Shutterstock.
Yeah, you can. They tried it.
Yeah, you can, but it's just
they just found out that you can't. So
yeah, but again, we talked about it. We will all be going to Grenada for Grenada's match against the United States at Karani James Stadium on Friday, March 24th. If you don't have them already, tickets are available at Grenadian Optical, Chucky's Bar opposite the bus terminal, Licks and Bites in Guayave, Shy's Bar, Calico, Maxie's Bar, and St. David's Pharmacy. Bleachers start at $25 East Caribbean dollars. So looking forward to that. CONCACAF Nations League, there is absolutely nothing like it. Do we want to give predictions as to the 4 teams we think are going to advance to the CONCACAF Nations League finals? Donald, do you want to give your picks?
Float, my liver, Slape's hat that he's wearing, and the hoodie that you're wearing right now, Eric. Those are the 4. No, I'm just kidding. I think when you look at these groups, I think most of them are pretty well set. I think Mexico eventually gets past Jamaica in Group A. I think Panama holds off Costa Rica in Group B. I think Canada gets past Honduras in Group C, and I think the United States gets past El Salvador in Group D.
Jonathan?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pull. I think Jamaica. I'm gonna go for a shock. Mexico not to make the Nations League finals.
That would be
Panama,
Be
Canada,
fucking great.
and the United States.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think Mexico is going to get through. They've got 2 games to make up 1 point on Jamaica. I do think Panama might hold on and go get a result in Costa Rica and advance. That would be nice to have another new team in there. I also think Canada is going to end up getting through past Honduras and Curaçao. So that's a new team in the Nations League finals. And then the champs will be back in the place to be determined. The United States of America will go win their second Nations League eventually in a city that we can't officially talk about yet. So, like we said ad nauseum, we're going to Grenada. There will be content. Make sure you're following us on the social medias at Concacaf, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The Instagram is going to be lit. The Twitter will be sending out some tweets and some pictures. Facebook, we'll see what we can get up there. If you have anything you need us for, just email us at podcacaf@gmail.com. We'll also have some exclusive content on the Patreon for our beloved patrons, you beautiful, beautiful people who decide to give us some money. We really appreciate it, supporting the podcast. And Donald, what are you playing hide and seek for?
I don't know.
Jonathan, where can people find you?
At JSlape SSP on Twitter, and then Broadway Sports Media.
Donald?
In addition to my favorite hiding spot, at BlazingDW and starsandstripesfc.com.
Really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you guys love Concacaf Nations League half as much as we do, because that means you love Nations League a whole lot. It's the greatest goddamn tournament on the planet, and we are looking forward to experiencing it and then talking about it when we're done. So talk to you later.